You're listening to a band of gamers podcasting since 2012. Three older best mates share a few laughs and keep you current with discussions about the latest news, consoles, and games. Join the conversation and the community. abandofgamers.com. All right, hey, what's going on?
Hey! Woohoo!
In this episode, Microsoft to bolster backwards compatibility for the Xbox Series X.
What does that even mean?
Well, stick around. Sony confirms their very different approach compared to Microsoft and explains perhaps why they've been slow to announce the PS5 details. Got Minecraft Dungeons, Super Mega Baseball 3, community, listener emails, streaming news. Cheers. We'll share what's in our pint glasses. A little bit of a chat at the end. And before we begin, hey, a lot's happened in the world since we last recorded. So much so that we have to mention at the beginning of the show, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it's a little difficult right now to do anything other than dedicate all of our energy to the major problem we have with the world right now. I think you know what I'm talking about. So at the end of the episode, we'll chat a little bit. We have a platform. As small as it is, we do have a platform. And it would be nice for us to positively contribute to the world as best we can, as I think it needs, as I think we all need to do, quite frankly, to overcome this hurdle that has been plaguing us for a long time. We've been spinning our wheels for at least 60 years without the progress that we need to make. And with everything going on right now with people protesting peacefully, most of it, I think for good reason, we need to make a change. But I'm Joel, your MC, one of your three co-hosts, recording in a suburb of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA. Joining me on this lovely, wonderful podcast journey. First of all, from Vancouver, Canada, crack your whip. She's confessing from the hip. It's Shane. What's going on, Shane?
Hello. What's happening? We're back. It's been a couple weeks. Well, vibrato just for you. You know, I don't... Come on.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Seriously.
Catching me off guard with that. I love it.
Oh, it's going to be a good beer day. Lots and lots to talk about.
In Birmingham, England, getting rained on. That's not different, is it, Carl? What's going on?
It is different from the last few weeks. You know, we've been in lockdown and the weather's been pretty glorious, and it's been necessary. You know, people have been going stir crazy indoors and everything else. Just as you know, they kind of start loosening these restrictions and it can go out a little bit. And we've had pretty much crap weather for a good week or so now. So normal service resumes, I think.
It's beautiful outside here. Loving it. Summertime. Everything's green. And have a nice bit of spring rain. Trying to make the best of the world. We're here to distract and entertain. So let's do that. We're going to do a podcast. Man, I always have a way to just make it slightly awkward right before we start.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll do the distracting.
Look
over there.
In usual form.
Right.
Awkward. Anyway.
Don't be suspicious.
Xbox Series X backwards compatibility with, quote, 1,000 of games from the original Xbox, Xbox 360, and of course, Xbox One. This shared on their own website, the Xbox Newswire. And just like we suspected, we mentioned this back when they said we're not adding any new backwards compatible titles to the Xbox One because they're going to continue to add more titles and then at a later date announce that we've got a ton more titles.
Yes.
Exactly what we thought. And of course, we'll include HDR and 120 frames support for the older titles. Jason Ronald, director of program management for Xbox Series X, says, and I quote, backwards compatible games run natively on the Xbox Series X hardware running with the full power of the CPU, GPU, and SSD. No boost mode. Ooh, little stab there at Sony. No downclocking. The full power of Xbox Series X for each and every backward compatible game. This means that all titles run at the peak performance and that they were originally designed for, many times even higher performance than the games saw on the original launch platform, resulting in higher and more steady frame rates and rendering at their maximum resolution and visual quality. Thoughts, gentlemen?
As expected, I think. They're really pushing the backwards compatibility stuff. I think it's great that some of these games are going to get a lick of paint and they're going to run better and just look better. I think if they can do that natively, you whack it in, you haven't got to worry about settings or anything. It will just do it for you. I think that's great. I mean, the retro thing is huge. Backwards compatibility. A lot of people are into it. Wanting to be able to play those older games and having them look good on new consoles is never a bad thing. So, yeah, good news.
And Shane, I got to bring it up. I have to bring it up.
What?
You're not into backwards compatibility. So this news, the big thud on the floor for you, like who cares kind of thing. Where you at?
Basically.
Same approach. Don't care about backwards compatibility. Haven't softened that stance.
No, not really.
All right.
I think it's a bit of a strange one though, isn't it? Because if you're like a collector, like having a massive game library of games that you want to continue to play, and if those can look a little bit better each time, then great. But I guess there's also, as you move from generations, there's the kind of the nostalgia as well, isn't it? You want things to look as they were originally and play as they were originally. So it's a good thing, and I don't think it's any harm in it. But I'm more interested in their new games. That's what's going to make me buy a new console rather than anything else. Same for Sony. If they announce everything's backwards compatible, it really won't matter because I already own all those consoles. So if you want to play them, that's how I'll play them. But new games.
Well, that's a great point. I think for me, nostalgia is 15, 20 years ago plus.
Whoa.
Seriously, when I go back and play like a SNES game or a Genesis game, and when we do a lot of that, that's where nostalgia, that's where I want it to look the way it used to look. This is really fresh for me because I just beat Red Dead Redemption 2, went back, started playing Red Dead Redemption 1, and it's
nice
4K and everything on the Xbox One X. But man, it looks old. It just doesn't look great going from the just beautiful, very good-looking Red Dead Redemption 2 to Red Dead Redemption 1, even with it being upgraded and such, just wasn't working for me. I got far enough in the story to remember and refresh my memory. I played it, beat it before. So I got enough in there to be like, oh yeah, that's what happens. It's all coming back to me. Now I'm going to play something else.
Yeah.
You might be right.
It might be.
Maybe.
But
I
don't know, maybe I wonder if all the the upgrading, kind of tears it down a little bit too, visually or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, it's some games that's a big leap though. Red Dead 2 to going back to playing Red Dead 1. I mean, that's a huge jump.
Ginormous.
Sure.
I think Carl was making an attempt at a segue, and then I totally ruined it.
That's a good distraction in my book. I like that.
Yeah.
It was a very pro segue. But Sony's taking a different approach than Microsoft. We've got Jim Ryan, and this was on Games Industry Biz, or .biz. It's an article up, an interview. Jim Ryan, President, CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. We have always said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to all the trouble of creating a next-gen console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generation does not include. And that, in our view, people should make games that can make the most of those features. We do believe in generations, and whether it's the DualSense controller, whether it's the 3D audio, whether it's the multiple ways that the SSD can be used, we are thinking that it's time to give the PlayStation community something new, something different that can really only be enjoyed on PS5. Stark contrast to what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah. Well, they've, I mean, if it's true, if there's, They said like about 100 games at launch, possibly.
Yep, PS4 games.
Was it PS4 games or was it PS5 games they were saying?
Oh, that could be. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused there because they also mentioned that 100 of the best, did they say, PS4 games will run on PS5?
Oh,
I think is what Cerny said when he gave his GDC announcement to the world.
Yeah, I think it was the phrasing around that. I think most PS4 games I think was compatible on the PS5 anyway, and I think they're saying, and I don't know if we've got it in here in the news, but with effect, I think it's from July this year. Anything released has to be compatible with the PS5 going forward. So already, I guess, depending on when the release window is, that will already tick quite a few of those off. So great, all these games will run on there now. But yeah, I mean, that's why I buy a new console. I want to buy, unless it's like a shiny edition of it, and it's like that Cyberpunk Xbox One X looks pretty cool. And even though I don't need one, okay, I'll look at that. I'm like, okay, a couple of $100. That's it just looks good, So you've got that element, but then for a brand new console, I would always I'd want the new games on it. Whether that's Sony or Microsoft, I don't really mind. Whoever's got the best games will be the one that I'll pick up first. But for me, probably will be Sony. But who knows? It's still early days yet. We haven't got release windows, we haven't got prices and all the rest of it. So I guess the next couple of months will be pretty key.
I think part of that is marketing speak and slight maybe response to what Microsoft is doing. Microsoft, very heavy on backwards compatibility, very heavy on supporting their community. If you've been with us, if you bought these games, they're going to work on the new console. They're going to look better. They're going to play better. We're keeping you in our ecosystem and giving you a more powerful machine. It's like the PC, really. It plays everything. It just plays them better as you upgrade your PC. Definitely, consoles becoming more PC-like. So I think part of that is a little spin or a little bit of a, hey, we may not be taking the same approach, but we've got you. And I do really like what he's saying here. I kind of agree. I mean, I love what Microsoft is doing, but I am slightly disappointed that the new Halo game, for example, will work on both systems, and as a result of that, might not be as fantastic as it could be if they just focused on the brand new console. Right? So, I mean, I see both sides of this. I think they're both great approaches and just so different. But I'm probably, it might make, if I were to buy the new Xbox and if I were to lean on that as my first choice, I'd probably also want a new PS5 if that thing has the new shiny, great generational leap that it might have. He got me on that marketing speech, sir. I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, it's been my, I mean, I don't hate backwards compatibility. That's pretty strong. But you mentioned earlier, Joe, I don't really care about it. I'd rather your focus go into the new generation. What's coming? What's new? Give me all that. I got plenty of boxes I can, toss some old games in. I still got my PS3 rocking. It's still hooked up to the, for Carl's benefit, it's hooked up to the telly. It's hooked up to the telly. That's how we're doing.
Well done.
Yeah, it's they're still there. When the PS5 comes out, the PS4 will still be hooked up to the telly. It's still going to be there. I'm still going to have the external ready to go. Moment's notice, we'll be able to get in there, get some Roque Les Jeux. We'll bring it back. We'll go full circle on ABOG. Be great. But yeah, man, focus it on the new. It was something nobody's seen before in console gaming. That's what we want, man. We want that big jump. We want that big jump between generations. That's what makes it stand out, and that's builds a generation's legacy as well.
So,
thank you.
What happens to the PS3 when we make this jump? How big is your entertainment center, sir? I mean, if you're keeping the PS3 right now, you're rocking PS3 and PS4, right?
Yeah.
So when the PS5 comes out, you still got your PS4 hooked up. You got room in
Yeah.
there to keep that PS3 going, or does that guy get bounced out? How's this work?
Buddy, we'll make room. I got the PS2, the PS3, the PS4 set up. I got the Super NT ready to go at a moment's notice. You know,
What
it's
kind
brilliant.
What kind of entertainment center you got over there, man?
Hey, man, it
Yeah.
works.
You double stacking? You just got a
No,
giant,
I don't have any.
giant
I don't have the double
cabinet.
stack action yet. Stay tuned when the PS5 comes out. Well, luckily that PS2, man, that's like wafer thin, man. You can basically throw that thing in your back pocket, man. You don't need no room for those.
The Slim? Yeah, that thing is pretty tiny.
Yeah, that was an amazing design. When they went to that slim PS2, that was incredible. That was a huge kind of, you know, exactly.
Yeah. More from that same article with Jim Ryan, gamesindustry.biz. Sony's focus has been on the current PS4 users, specifically with network stability during the pandemic. And he says it's been a real roller coaster of a year. He could say that again. We
Fooled me.
realized a couple of months ago that we were going to have to spend a lot more time paying attention to the PS4 community than we had anticipated. As that community, along with everybody else in the world, went into lockdown, we have devoted a lot of effort to making sure our network works. I'm really proud of what we've done there. The days when Sony was criticized for the resilience of its networking activity, that should be consigned to history. The levels of engagement are just off the radar screen, both in terms of the number of people and the amount of time that we are playing. And the network has stood up just fine. It has.
Sure. Yeah, fine's a good word to describe it.
Okay. You're on
It's
there
been
more than I
fine.
am. Has it been coughing and wheezing?
It's definitely they you can tell they slowed it down. You know, you can tell, right? I mean, it's fine, but I mean, there's some days where it's just like, you gotta be kidding me, man. When you can barely get into a chat party.
Oh, really?
That's what pisses me off, man. I don't care about the lag or, you know, trying to connect or anything. But I'm trying to get into a chat party, you know, with some friends and whatnot, and just kind of catch up, shoot the shit, you know, stay positive, you know, with all the, you know, bullshit that's going on. And you can't get into that. That's okay. Now you're playing with fire, you know. But yeah, no, it's been decent. I thought it would have been worse, but yeah, it's been all right.
It's a pretty big install base in their defense.
Yeah.
It got me thinking, though. Are they saying this because of the lack of PS5 news? Is this their reading between the lines, their reasoning? Like, the reason we haven't talked about, you didn't say that, but the reason we didn't talk about PS5 lately is because we've been very focused on our network and our PS4 users and this generational leap that you should expect with the PS5.
Oh, totally. Could be total cop out, you know. Oh, we've been really, really busy. Been so busy, you know. Just haven't managed to get this information out to everybody. You know, time will tell. But I still think that they're. I don't think all is what it seems behind the scenes with the PS5. I think that they are having some hiccups, I would imagine.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you've only got to look at history. They wanted to be, the minute Microsoft would announce something, you would expect them to be like, but look what we've got, you know. And it doesn't. I know that they'd, we'll talk a bit about the press conference that they'd scheduled and things like that. So they'd started to get things moving a little bit, but it still seems very late, in the year. We're halfway through 2020, thank God. And these things are meant to roll out at the end of the year, and it just seems very late to be kind of dropping the first initial bits of information from them.
Well, it's already in the bag anyway. It's already in production at this point. It's all done. They're waiting. They're gonna wait and try to counterpunch or however you want to look at it. And all the info's there. It's all about timing. They'll drop it when, what was it? When you got an axe to, no, not an axe to grind. You strike when the pan's hot.
When the iron is hot.
Iron is hot, yeah, for all our European listeners. So yeah, no, it's they got it all ready to go, man. I don't think there's any hiccups and whatnot, but they I think they're just kind of waiting for the right time. Who knows when that'll be? Hopefully soon.
Well, they were going to have a PS5 event on June 4th, and it would have been the entire focus of this episode, but it was postponed. And they mentioned they said in their Twitter account, while we understand gamers worldwide are excited to see PS5 games, we do not feel that right now is the time for celebration. And
very classy move.
Yeah, and no
class act.
No date yet. So hopefully, people are predicting maybe 2 weeks. We shall see.
Yeah, we might be waiting a few weeks, a month, or whatever. But yeah, it'll be good. People will be fired up. It'd be great. And then they won't tell us, the price or anything. You know what I mean? Like they'll throw a date. Throw a date November 21st. Whatever. But then they won't say the price or whatnot, and then everybody will be pissed off. Like, just get it to us.
I think we'll see some gameplay.
Really?
Well, maybe not actual gameplay, but like you'll see some kind of in-engine stuff for a couple of games, I think, and then the last thing you'll probably see is the actual box itself.
Well, he
said they might do a date. I don't know. I mean, have Microsoft announced a definitive date?
No,
I don't think they have.
Neither of them have.
Yeah.
Well, he said that they said on their Twitter are excited to see PS5 games. Well, whether or not that's gameplay or in-engine, it's who knows, right? But apparently it's going to be all about the games when they do get this thing back on schedule. So will they show the console? I don't know. Maybe. But it seems like the focus is going to be the games. I like the little graphic they used for marketing that upcoming presentation. It was a black controller. Everybody can calm down. It's okay. There's actually a black controller. Everybody got all pissed off. Remember that when they revealed the white controller? All the things to get mad about in the world, right? Good grief.
Yep. And then another year, there'll be a blue one. There'll be a red one.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. That's has been with every console iteration. Like, you know what they're like with the controllers. I'm sure they're not going to just ignore that cash cow.
Don't worry. You're going to get your camo controller,
Yeah. Hey, Shane, you mentioned price.
I did.
Yeah. So you think they're not going to reveal the price? Last time they waited till Microsoft revealed their price, and then they came in and totally beat it, and it contributed very heavily to their success this generation. Do you think they have a different plan this time? We've got this generational leap. We're not doing backwards compatibility. There's enough there, maybe perhaps, to not have it be cheaper than Microsoft. I think Microsoft's going to reveal their price first. But I don't think this time around Sony's going to work super hard to undercut it. I don't think they're going to lose money on this thing out of the gate.
You remember when they did it for the PS4? I was also at E3, and Microsoft's conference was literally a half hour before, so it was very, very easy to do that. So I don't think we'll see something like that probably ever again, really. But yeah, I'm sure they'll try to undercut a little bit or whatnot.
I think so.
Why wouldn't you? It'd be foolish almost not to, but you don't see them really being able to take a hit in this generation with everything kind of going on in the world and the market stability, which is exactly that, we'll say. But yeah,
I think they're the market leader right now. They're acting like it. They're not concerned with what Microsoft is doing. They're not concerned with backwards compatibility, which is what their competition is doing.
Yep.
Last time, they definitely stepped on the throat of their competition. They took advantage of the situation. I mean, their whole press conference at that E3 was not only the cheaper price, but we're not going to be locking you into DRM. It's like they changed their entire presentation based on what Microsoft screwed that up so bad that Sony was just able to be like, look, we're not going to do all of that. We're not doing that. And it's cheaper. And basically it was the reason for a giant head start. But now they're the market leader. and then some. I think they're, I don't want to say arrogant. I don't think they're arrogant. They're not, it's not PS3. It's not go get a second job. You need this thing like they did that last time with PS3.
And so, all right, here we go. And so they should. All right. If you can't afford a console, what is it? Oh, we're going to drop the price for you. No, you got to go out and get it. Is that a rude thing to say? Probably yes. But realistically, you don't see me knocking on the, I get that. I get that. 100%. It's a dick thing to say. 100%. Yes. But people shouldn't be dropping the price just because somebody, can't afford something.
Well, it's not can't afford. It's competitive advantage. It was a competitive advantage. A lot of people can't afford these brand new consoles and still play PS3 and PS4. And that's a reality, right? There are people out there who can't afford it. They're not worried about that. It was a competitive advantage. Help me out, Carl. What do you think?
I wouldn't say can't afford. I think they were just saying it's worth getting a second job
for PS3.
This console is, in a
roundabout.
Yeah, if you can't afford it, then just get another job. You'll be fine. It's worth it. It's that good. It's that much of a generational leap, which you could, arguably the PS3 over the PS2 was a massive leap. PS4 over PS3 probably less so. So depends on what we get in PS5, I suppose. But I think they'll have to price these things according to the state of the world at the time. And I think that's probably why they're not announcing anything. They've no idea what the economies around the world will look like. They've no idea what the ongoing production costs or, the likelihood of people picking these things up. If the world goes into a massive recession, who knows what it will look like. So the sensible thing to do is hold off as long as you possibly can. Let things come into some sense of order and then be like, okay, yeah, it's going to cost you X amount.
That's a great point regarding potential recession and production costs with these plants and people being able to go to work and be in these plants. But they do know how much the technology costs. They know how much the components cost. So that's a fixed expense. And that people are predicting that fixed expense might be at like $450 already.
Nice.
So we shall see. I think it's very fascinating, this whole approach. If they're going to do what they did last time, undercut by $100. If they're going to do what they do with the PS3 and be like, it's worth another job to buy this thing, I suspect they'll fall somewhat in the middle. But if they fall somewhat in the middle, probably aren't waiting for Microsoft to announce a price. Probably have their idea in mind. And I think Microsoft is the one this time around who's going to try and undercut a little bit to get a competitive advantage, to sell more consoles.
Yeah, the last time also, the PS4, Sony had to, though. They had to do that. They got stomped pretty good. The 360 had an extra year out. They had a lot of catching up to do. And with the PS3 hardware, there's a lot of issues at launch. The first, the first two SKUs, even three, models of the console had, some bad failures going on. They had a lot of ground to make up, and they had a chance to do something, with the PS4 to at least kind of, level the playing field, despite the fact that the PS3, it was looking good in its final days. There were some phenomenal titles that were coming out that really, really pushed the hardware and the boundaries of that hardware. But I think they both know exactly what they're going to be selling for. And I don't really see either company drastically undercutting each other. I think maybe $50 will be the difference at this point with, basically the same kind of components and whatnot in both boxes. So we'll see, I guess.
I just had a look at how much I spent on the PS4. I bought mine at launch. I think pre-ordered it like June 2013, and it was 390 quid. I would, certainly expect to be paying more than that. a price point of 450 quid does sound expensive. I think for the console, maybe, and just a controller with no game, maybe 400 quid, 399.99. I can see that. I think any more than that, I don't know. People aren't gonna buy a $500 console. I don't think.
And they've got some great games yet to come out. We've got Last of Us Part 2 coming, Ghosts of Tsushima right around the corner here. I mean, there's a good reason to stay with PS4 for a while longer. Whereas Microsoft is not, they're kind of drying up right now until they're waiting.
Yeah.
Until the next one's coming out.
There's nothing coming out. I think Halo, I think that might be it. Just without going too far off the cuff, either of you chaps picking up The Last of Us Part 2? Is it on your radar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to see where that story goes.
Not at the moment for me. There's still some stuff in the backlog I can tackle long before dumping, another $80 on a brand new game. I think I can hold off at least until the summer and whatnot. And there's plenty on the shelf I still need to sink my teeth in and attack.
I'm worried about the spoilers, quite honestly. The story is probably going to be really good.
Yeah, I can see that.
We shall see. I wish I had your willpower, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We're going to talk about some video games here in a moment. Before we get to that, if you could do us a favor, leave us a review on iTunes, wherever you listen. If you're enjoying the show, the entertainment, the distraction, head on over there. Give us a rating. Leave us some words. A nice little review. We'd appreciate it. We're also on Discord, if you don't know. Lots of great conversation over there about gaming, music, beer, and everything else. Gardening, food, life. Join us on Discord. Great to have you as part of that conversation. And we have an email address, of course, abogpod@gmail.com. Carl, you want to get us started? I've played this as well. You probably played more of it than I. Minecraft Dungeons. Anxious to hear your thoughts on this. I would say it's the Fisher-Price version of a dungeon crawler. It's my first dungeon crawler for a lot of young children and for me, who hasn't played a lot of dungeon crawlers. It's been a good little entry point into the genre.
I love that description. I wish I'd have thought of that myself. And I think you're absolutely spot on. This is not a bad game in any stretch of the imagination. It is an action RPG. If you think about the likes of Diablo and Path of Exile, Grim Dawn, whatever, but with a much lighter tone. They've obviously gone into the Minecraft world and thought, we'll put that skin on it and make it accessible for younger gamers. For me, for someone like me who's played, I don't know, thousands of hours of Diablo 3, and these kind of games before that as well. Although I did have fun with it. It was one of those games that I was just kind of glad to get it done. And then I could go back and play. I was missing Diablo 3 playing this game. I would describe it as an RPG light. I think a Fisher-Price, my first RPG, ARPG, is a great description. It's on the PS4, the Xbox, and the PC. A couple of weeks now. There's been some buzz about it. Some people streaming it. It's beautiful looking. I think it looks really, really nice. I've been playing it on PC. It's on Game Pass. And the colours and it's got this Minecraft skin on it, which really looks the part. Especially in terms of like the armor you can pick up and the different weapons and stuff. It looks very, very cool. But other than the looks, there isn't really a lot of Minecraft in there. You'll see some familiar faces. You'll see the creepers in there, the Enderman, and some of the the different bad guys and stuff. And the scenery looks like a Minecraft game, but you can't destroy anything. You can't build anything. There's nothing really to interact with in that way, which would have been quite cool if they'd have done something like that. But it is what it is. It feels a little bit strange, but I'm not a big Minecraft player anyway, so it didn't really bother me. But I'm just putting my head on and thinking, if you're approaching this as a Minecraft fan, trying out your first ARPG, then you might be thinking that kind of thing would carry over, but obviously not. For me, one of the main draws with an ARPG is and you see this with Borderlands a little bit. Borderlands has got the same. It's pretty much an RPG, but as a third first-person shooter, and you have a steady flow of loot and upgrades, abilities you unlock, which keep you kind of immersed in the game and help you push through it. The ability to kind of, excuse me, get stronger, and be able to just play through guys and just take them down super easily. It's one of the things that keeps you coming back, and then you can increase the difficulty, or you can, try go to different areas. And this game, I don't know, you don't seem to get that much stuff. You get the odd item here and there in chests as you go through the levels. When you finish a level, you'll get a chest as well, or maybe two. You might get one after defeating a boss, and when you kind of have a hub where, like, your camp, where you go back to after you've finished a mission. And sometimes you get a little chest in between your journey back from the level to the camp, and you can get something new there. But on the whole, there isn't a lot of stuff that you pick up. It's very light in that respect, and the majority of stuff you do pick up isn't that great. There's a lot of grey quality items. They get quite a few greens, the odd purple. I played through the whole game, finished it. I got 3 orange quality weapons during that playthrough, which wasn't really a lot. 2 of those weren't usable really. In the build that I needed to have to get through it. So some question marks around that kind of stuff. And as you go through, you do collect these little green emeralds, little gems that you can use to buy gear. When you get back to camp, you can there's a couple of vendors there. You can buy your main weapons. And in terms of weapon slots, it's pretty straightforward. You've got 1 primary weapon, you've got a range weapon, and you've got an armor slot, and that's it. Underneath your character is room for 3 artifacts, and these are your abilities, if you like, that you would normally have on an ARPG, where they're on a timed cooldown, so you can kind of trigger one every so often, stack them up, do a bit of damage and things like that. The replacement gear from those vendors, I don't know if you've had much to do with them, Joel. I didn't find it was a very useful thing.
But it's random. You're not just buying weapons from them. You're buying a treasure chest of a random weapon.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating that some of the random weapons you get are ones you've already had. So it's like you'll spend your green gems on, oh, good, a bow and arrow. Great, thanks. I got that when I started the game. So it's not like buying your choice of weapon. It's buying an opportunity to get a chest to have maybe something good in there, and then it's a random pull.
And it would have been cool if they'd have maybe just and obviously they can still patch this stuff in there. Just have a vendor, these gems they're not actually that plentiful. You do you accrue a few thousand as you play through, but they're not, they're not. Just you're not awash with them. So every time you spend like 80 trying to get a random weapon to drop, you can just spam that a few times and all of a sudden you're out of them. It would have been nice if they had a fixed vendor in there, with you can drop 2,000 gems to get this bow, and it would give you the ability to kind of farm things a little bit and, try and build the kind of character that you want. But it's early days. I think the game will get a fair bit of support, but it just seemed a bit off that level of it for me. The other thing which seemed very strange was the difficulty. And again, Joel, it depends how far you are through. This game can get very difficult towards the end.
Totally.
Completely dependent on your build as well, which is another. I'll mention that in a minute. But usually these games have the ability to you can increase or decrease the difficulty as you go through. Like with Diablo, you'll go, you'll hammer through, you get to like level 30 and you'll be like, oh, it's too easy now. You're mowing through baddies, so you just knock the difficulty up. So when you start playing Diablo, you're on the regular difficulty and you end up playing on at least kind of Torment 1. And then as you max out your character and you get different bits and bobs, you've increased that exponentially, really. And this game doesn't do that. It kind of, you have a set kind of character score, you have a set level, power score, I think it's called, and as you level up, it levels the difficulty up with you, which is fine. But the only problem is with that, sometimes you're at the lower end of the curve. The level you're doing is like power 12, and your power level is 10, and you can't really drop the power level below the minimum, which is still kind of below where you would want to be. And as you level through, particularly when you get to the last level and the one before it, you can end up in a situation where, you know, the baddies are quite difficult, quite numerous to take down, and you haven't got the. I went into that last level with a slow, heavy weapon, and there's so many mobs. Like you've got no crowd control. You know, you've got a couple of different abilities that you can pop and help you along the way, but it's quite difficult to get through it. So I ended up having to respec pretty much. I was just trying to get these random armor drops, and I managed to get through the game with a suit of armor. When you can basically, all these big things you pick up, you can actually spend like enchantment points on them. So every time you level up, you get an enchantment point, and you can spend those on all these different items. So
like boosts,
there's some kind of
like boosts to the weapon or boost to your armor, essentially.
Yeah, there's a bit of diversity there as well. So, like, you can have the armor I picked up, for example, and I wish I didn't destroy it after I finished the game. But it gave the ability for every when you powered it up, every 1 second it'd throw a snowball at a random enemy that was around you and stun them. So that was really useful for crowd control. And then there was another artifact where if you rolled, you could do AoE damage all around you with lightning and stuff. So you can kind of build up a little build, if you like, to help you get through different kind of encounters. But the difficulty setup, it was hard. Like, I died on that last level. Didn't die for the whole game. Died on that last level quite a bit. And I even lost all of my lives on the final battle. With the Illager, who's the guy that you have to kind of try and topple really and get rid of him. But yeah, it just something about that difficulty spike is quite tough. And the story's okay. There's not really much story to write home about, really. You know, a lot of these games have a rich lore, lots of kind of side quests and different characters to interact with. But again, it's not aimed at me. This game is aimed at the younger audience, people coming in from Minecraft and all the rest of it. Like you said, Joel, the first action RPG. And it's fun to pick up and play. Like, I enjoyed the first couple of hours. It just needs a bit of balance, I think.
I think it's aimed at people like me, too, who haven't had a lot of experience in the genre. So you mentioned, Carl, you got to the last level, and that's where you first had your bit of difficulty. I'm on the 2 levels prior to the last level. The fiery, and I think the desert might be the other one. And I've died on both of those bosses now, twice. So I'm going to have to repeat those levels. I actually didn't mind, and you've got a ton more experience than me with these games, so I'm coming into it total neophyte. But I didn't mind the difficulty because I'm in control of it. So my character is at level, 15 right now. And when you start the level, you can choose to increase the difficulty or kind of leave it where it's at. I didn't realize, now that you mention it, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. I didn't realize that the first 2 difficulties are now grayed out for me. I can't choose them. I can't go down to like really easy at this point. I didn't realize it was because my level was too high to allow me to go down to those easier levels. What I assumed is that since I've already chosen to up the level, that it was then locking me into that level. Almost like if you are playing any campaign and you go from easy to medium, and then you are on the next level, you can't at the next level decide, okay, I'm going back down to easy. No, you have to go all the way back to the beginning and choose to keep with easy. So I didn't realize it was because my level is at a point. I thought it was my decision to increase the difficulty that was preventing me to go back to super easy. But it is pretty difficult. I'll give you that. I mean, but that's because I'm new to these kind of games. But I'm actually having a bit of fun with it. No, I didn't buy it. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, same.
It's a first-party title. It costs like, what, $30, I think, if you were to buy it. I don't think it's a very expensive game, but it's short. I mean, what is it? Maybe
it's very short.
Maybe 6 hours or something to get all the. No, I've died a few times, so it might take me 8, but it's not that long of a game. But you know what? I'm having fun with it as a Game Pass title. I'm having a good bit of fun with it. It's given me slightly an itch to try a different game in this genre. Maybe I'll appreciate a Diablo 3, which previously I was like, just never, I mean, I tried them, I just never really got into them. But this has sort of given me an itch and a better understanding for why Diablo 3, why you might love it so much. What's there that is really appealing is some of the things that it's teaching me in this genre.
Absolutely. I mean, I know you already own Diablo, so it's definitely it's a good co-op game. It's good fun with friends. I think I've done 6.5 hours in this game, so that was pretty much all I've done is play through it. Failed on the last mission, and then replayed it, and then I've gone into, once you complete the game, you do unlock additional difficulties. So you kind of do like an adventure mode after that, where you can play different levels. The enemies are harder, they hit harder. There is better loot, but the loot still drops quite infrequently, and a better quality of loot as well. But again, it's all kind of relative. You know, if you get the right gear set, you can be like, oh, this is great, it's really easy. But if you find yourself in a situation where, you know, like I did in that last level, I had a hammer, which was orange and it was wonderful, and I was great in the level before. But the minute you get swarmed by enemies, I'm like, I need like a long glaive or something to do like a wide arc of damage. You know, you need a good range. It's got to be quick. And then, you know, it's just a bit of build management, I suppose. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Like, I wouldn't buy it, but I think if it's on Game Pass, it's definitely worth your time. The gamer score looked really easy. To a point.
It's given out
I think there's 1 or 2 achievements in there where you've got to finish it on the hardest difficulty, which I wouldn't wish on anybody. So, yeah, probably not one for completionists. But if you want to, you know, if you want a quick couple of 100 gamer score for not doing very much, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, it's chucking gamer score at you pretty easily. 30.1s too. It does. I do feel like the glaive is the weapon in this game. Every time I choose to try a different weapon and spec my character out differently, I get just completely overwhelmed and killed. I do have the health option there that you can include in your build, right? I think it's I don't know if you can change that. I think it's automatically in there where you can refill your health once, but then but it takes time to regenerate. So
that potion takes a long time to regenerate. Compared to other games in the genres, like, and I was thinking, because this is, you know, more accessible and meant to be kind of a bit simpler. Yeah, the cooldown on that potion is mental. Like, you find yourself in some of the boss encounters, like you'll be running, you'll do some damage to the boss, and then you're running around, you're kiting him, or you're circling around, just like waiting for that to pop. So you can think, okay, well, if I get a few hits, I can heal myself. Because once you do, you have 3 lives. Once you lose the lives, you restart at the beginning of the level. Like, you're literally back at camp on level select. So it's pretty brutal.
I'm having fun with it, but I'm not sure about the replayability. I'm not sure I'll want to play it again after I get through it. It's like it's a Game Pass game. I don't know. We shall see, but the speccing your character is a bit of fun. Deciding how you want to go into each level. And each level has a decent amount of variety where you can kind of respec or change your layout for how you take that specific level, what they throw at you. I'm enjoying it. I don't know.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I'd recommend checking it out. It's on Game Pass. Everyone's got Game Pass. Why not? Have a look at it. And it is fun. I bet it's fun in co-op. I bet it is good, because then your build is less important, because you've got the people working with you. And you can probably have a play style that suits more than anything else. But yeah, another game completed this year. I'm happy.
So what else you playing?
Just a little bit, and a brief mention. I only played a bit with the boy the other day. We've been going through playing a few different games in this lockdown. We've had a lot of Fortnite, bit of Apex and stuff, so we're trying to go through some of these games. And we booted up the other day Crucible, which is Amazon's kind of a foray into the video game world. I know we talked about this probably a couple of months back, I think now, and about them getting into the video game market. And Crucible is their kind of first effort at doing this. It's a free-to-play game on Steam. If you've played the likes of Overwatch or any kind of arena team-based shooter, then this won't be too unfamiliar for you. Got some performance issues on PC. My PC is no slouch, and it frame rate, the jitteriness of it. It's just a bit clunky. It's one of those things. I think that it needs patching. It needs maintenance. It needs stability testing and stuff. It's just a bit all over the place. But the actual game's not too bad. It's quite fun. Me and the boy played a few games of a kind of a capture the flag mode where you kind of drop down on a pod, kind of like in Borderlands 3. You just come down and crash onto the planet, and there's a few kind of towers that you have to kind of capture and just stay around, capture, move on to the next one. It's just controlling Destiny as well if you're a Destiny player. And the cool thing about it though is that the planets are they've got native wildlife and stuff. So while you're kind of running around shooting all your buddies and that, there's the flora and the fauna are trying to kill you as well. So that's something a little bit different. When we're not talking, just generic little human enemies and stuff, like massive big monsters and like poisonous plants that will pop up, and all of a sudden you've got half your health gone and stuff. It's crazy, some of that stuff in there, and it is good fun. But the character design's a little bit generic. There's like a rocket raccoon in there and a couple of typical soldier guys. One of the guys, he's literally soldier from Overwatch. He can hold down the button and he'll sprint indefinitely and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll keep my eye on it. Probably play a few more games of it. But yeah, for the first effort, it's not bad. It just needs a bit of stability.
We got to talk some baseball since the MLB can't seem to get their shit together, quite frankly, with the owners and players agreeing to some sort of mutual agreed upon salary. So here we all sit. The NBA just announced they're returning July 31st. And here in the States, as I'm sure with you guys in your countries, we're sort of desperate for sports right now. Those of us who enjoy watching sports, just to get some sort of normalcy back from the pandemic. And baseball just, man, they're looking really stupid right now. A lot of us are unemployed, have taken pay cuts, have been furloughed, and they're arguing about their salaries. It's like, just get over yourself, get back, play some baseball, be like the rest of the world. We've all taken a little bit of a hit. Next year, you'll get your full salary. Can you tell I'm frustrated with baseball right now?
Oh, dude.
I'm a little bit annoyed right now with this.
And the crazy thing as well, like if there's one sport that you'd think could be brought back quicker, baseball is probably the least contact sport, of them all that you could throw that back in. I mean, you've only got the runner when he's going around the bases and stuff, like with his contact particularly. If basketball can figure it out, we've got football back here on the 17th of June, so a week after next. Beyond matches behind closed doors, and 5 substitutes rather than 3, so give players a bit, because people won't be fit, so rotate the squads a little bit. And the broadcasters are broadcasting a lot of those games free to air as well. They're saying, right, people need to be need the distraction. So yeah, it should be it'd be good to have it back, but still concerns obviously about how safe it is. But yeah, baseball needs to get their act together.
Yeah, took us down a tangent there. Sorry about that. I want to talk about some baseball video games. Super Mega Baseball 3 came out. Shane's been playing it. He's our MLB The Show expert. So he's going to give us an update on what he thinks of Super Mega Baseball 3. Maybe a little bit of a comparison there to MLB The Show. I've maybe got a couple hours of Super Mega Baseball. I'll get it started here, Shane, just by saying
nice.
It's that same arcade experience, except with the 3rd iteration of the franchise. They have given you a little deeper of a simulation experience if you choose to use it. So they've added additional, more complicated controls that don't impact the arcade style of the game. You don't have to dig that deep into the controls, but it's still a fun arcade style baseball game. It just has a little deeper simulation element this time around, I guess, is my very high level pitch about this game.
Yeah, it's 2 baseball games what Hot Shots Everybody's Golf is to golf games, where it's fun, kind of arcadey, very quirky, funny on the surface. And if you choose to start peeling those layers back, you can find it's very technical, and you can find that almost simulation experience from Super Mega Baseball. Now this is the third in the series.
Yep.
And they're back, and they've dialed into that simulation experience more. They've taken away a little bit of the goofiness at times. You don't see a whole lot of that, other than, if you hit a line drive at the pitcher and knock him out and he's laying there. It's great. It's satisfying when that happens. Same if you being a batter and he just face plants right in the batter's box. It's brilliant. It's little stuff like that they keep in there, because it's kind of their history. That's what they do. But yeah, it's a fine-tuned game of ball. It looks fantastic. They've added a lot more stadiums than they did in previous installments of the game. I think they're up to 13 or 14 different stadiums. And one thing I've noticed is not only do the stadiums look a lot better, the kind of ambience and the feel of each stadium seems a lot different from one to another. Stadiums where they're, in a bit more of a hotter climate, you can, with the lighting, you can see it's almost got a bit of a haze in the sunlight and whatnot. You see that the stadiums seem to be a lot more recognizable from, different camera angles, from pitching. The different stadiums have that different lighting, and, some of them don't have that big shadow covered area over the batter's box or anything, and they're directly in the sunlight. I like that. It adds a bit more characteristics to each stadium, and I think that's been a long time coming. I like what they've done there, and the stadiums they're gorgeous. They're clever. They're funny. There's one in Red Rocks, and there's in the background there's a little truck that drives up the one of the walls and stuff. So there's they keep it nice and quirky like that. It's a lot of fun, and it's they've added a franchise mode, which is one of the big additions this year, which has a ton of depth. You can run this for probably 20 seasons or whatnot, and develop players. Players that are doing well. Eventually, they're gonna slow down. They get longer in their careers. They're gonna retire. You're definitely gonna have be looking to replace those players, and sign players. Spend your money wisely. There's a lot of depth in that mode as well, which is really, really cool to see for kind of a smaller studio like Metalhead Software out of British Columbia, Canada. Might add. But yeah, it's a great game of ball. There's lots of teams in there. You create your own teams. I think there's a custom logo to further that depth to creating custom teams, which is on its way. And there's going to be a few big patches coming that'll add more and more to the game as it goes on. For example, in the franchise mode, I know they're going to be adding career stats to some of these players, which is like next to unheard of in sports games. That's really, really cool to really, see how they're doing over the long term and whatnot. And yeah, it's a fun game of ball, and it's quick, it's easy. Anybody can just pick it up and play. And if you want to, get more in depth, that is definitely there for you. But when you look at playing a game of baseball, like in the show and whatnot, you need some time. You're going to need a half hour, 40 minutes to get through a game, a full simulation game and whatnot. And I like Super Mega Baseball just for the fact of just want to pick it up and get through a game in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, pick your innings, and it's perfect for that. It's really, really is great at that. And that's why I'm a big fan of the series. I keep picking them up, and yeah, man, keep them coming with updates. Let's get some more stadiums in there. Bring more. So much character as it is.
Yeah, and it's got the same score chase mechanic the last two had. So if you just want to do like just a quick game of ball, like Shane said, 10, 15 minutes, but you've got a score chase element there. It takes you right to your friend's leaderboard. And that is really awesome. I love that they continue to do that. Even though they've added so much with the simulation and franchise, they still have maintained their same quirkiness and all the things that made the first two great. I am not sure the jump Let me preface by saying this is my favorite game of ball right here. I mean, huge props to Heavy Metal Studios. I love that they got as developers, they've got the heavy metal components in their games. The background music's heavy. It's like their lineage, their hair. I love the guys. And these are great baseball games, but just to be completely objective and honest, the jump from 2 to 3, now I had 2 for free, quote unquote, with Xbox Game Pass. This game's $40. So I don't know if the jump from 2 to 3 was worth $40, but I've been spoiled by having it as part of Xbox Game Pass. I would say this, if you don't have a baseball game and you want a baseball game, it is totally worth $40. It's a great game of baseball, but they put this one out pretty quick after 2, and I'm not sure that leap is huge.
Yeah.
Except for the additional franchise and some of the better, more simulation style controls.
And that's the one kind of con about the game, is just that initial price point. You know, when MLB The Show is $15 or $20 more. And
on sale for about the same price right now at a lot of places.
And exactly, it's been out a few months, it's starting to go on sale. You're starting to see it.
I hate even bringing it up because I flippin' love this series. I love the game, but I'm just being objective and honest. I have felt that a little bit. Like, I just paid $40 for that. I could probably have kept playing 2 and been just almost as happy. This 2 is a great game of ball too.
Yep, it definitely. And this is what the people need to know about. This is why we do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's sat there on my wish list. I haven't bought it yet. I have downloaded the demo, but I had a chance to play it. But 33 quid is a fair amount of cash, especially at the minute. You've got the days and play sale and everything else that's going on there. There's some really good deals on games at the minute. And like we've talked about, we've all got massive backlogs. We're all trying to get those down. So I think we had a MLB game that was free on Plus as well, I think last year, which I haven't played at that either. Like the last MLB game, I think I had a game of Ball U shown a couple of years back, but I haven't played one since then, so I don't know if I can justify dropping the cash on this one just yet.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's, it's tough. I mean, do you spend the extra $10-15 and, go for the true simulation, the Major League Baseball, the licensed teams, the licensed players, the atmosphere, all the stadium, the whole baseball package, and that's where this one's going to be tricky. I understand, they're a small studio and they put a ton of work. There's always patches. They've added stuff to, the Super Mega Baseball 2. They were bringing out new stadiums and, decent little amount of DLC.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's tough because they always have they're a higher price point for games like this, where they are more arcadey and meant to be more just fun, pick up and play. But yeah, it's a tricky one to try to convince somebody when there's only a $10 difference from the full package, from that, super deluxe. It's tricky. But if you're a fan of baseball and you just don't have the time to put into, the full length simulation games, Super Mega Baseball 3 is a fantastic option. There is a lot there, and you're not going to have to sit, and play it for, 2 hours in a night, to really get somewhere. You can crush through these games. You can, play through a season quick, get that pennant race action. There is cross-platform play on it as well.
There is.
So there's...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, why aren't we playing?
I have disabled that option at the moment. In all fairness. I even took a screenshot of it being disabled as well.
You know what, though, Shane? I would say that this is... And I haven't played MLB The Show in years, so correct me if I'm wrong here. But it's so much more accessible than that game. So even though it's $10 cheaper, and I'm with you on the whole money thing, I brought it up, but for me, it's more fun. I like having fictitious players. I like having fictitious stadiums. I don't have to invest hours upon hours upon hours to get good at a baseball game to play this game. It pick up and play. It's accessible.
110%. Spot on, dude. Anybody could pick it up and start playing.
Can you say that with MLB The Show?
Anybody could pick MLB The Show up.
But you play it every year. So for me, who hasn't played it in the 4 years, let's say, how would I feel if I just, maybe I should put the disc in and let you know. I did buy it, but I mean, it's like Madden, for example, compared to like NFL Blitz, it's pretty intense. You got to know your plays. You got to know a lot about football to jump in. I would think the MLB The Show is pretty intense with the controls and things. Last time I tried it, even 4 years ago it was, and now it's advanced and advanced and advanced again. It can't be as easy to just pick up and play a game of baseball and have fun.
Nowhere near as easy to pick up and play. 110% without knowing to go in and change your pitching to a different style, which is much more approachable. Same with the hitting. You have to kind of know to do that.
Okay.
Whereas Super Mega, you can pick it up. It's super simple. You know, it's kind of old school. Like, you know, the buttons on the controller represent throwing to each base.
Yeah,
to me, that is huge. You know, I remember a baseball game years ago. I mean, you'd have to hold like L1 and then put the directional on your left stick, and then there's one button for throw, and it made no sense. You know, it's got to be instinctive. You know, like King Griffey Jr. baseball. You know, that is still to this day the groundwork of how baseball games should, you know, play.
Yeah, I remember the original Nintendo baseball game. The first party NES 8-bit was the same, and the Atari one, I think. Well, no, not Atari. That's a one button. Derp. But just having the, I think Nintendo, you had to hit the directional throw to the bases, but
yeah,
same concept.
But each directional
same concept
was for each base. Like you knew, like you hit
intuitive.
Hit in A, you were thrown to second base, right? Yeah.
All right, we've gone like an hour. We got to get to some other conversation here. I hate to cut this short, but your 2 cents on comparing the two, because I know you've been kind of going, you've put in your homework to share on the show here.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, it's just which experience is going to be, you know, more approachable for you. You know, you're definitely getting, you know, like I said, the super deluxo with that MLB The Show 20, and it is worth every penny. It is fantastic. Takes advantage of that, you know, that 4K. It's just stunning. Beautiful game of ball. Plays better than it ever has. Fantastic. You ain't got the time. You're a little bit more casual, but you love baseball. Super Mega is, you know, it hits it out of the park again this year. It's a fantastic game. Not a huge jump, like Joel said, from 2 to 3, but they made some great progress, and they put out a quality game of ball. If you love baseball, and like I know you do, Shane, is there room to love both of these games? 100%. Okay. 100%. I do. When I want the big lights, you know, I have that game. You know, when I'm just chilling out, want to have fun, I have that game as well. So both. There's room for both. I love it, man. Community. So I got an email from Travis. Just wanted to say thank you to Travis for sending this email. I have been mentioning on the last couple episodes how I'm playing a lot of Xbox because of my Astro A50 headset. I love my Astro A50 headset. Paid $300 for that thing on the Xbox. It's comfortable. It's got great audio. And because of that, when I have a game on both systems to choose between, or the same game on PlayStation or Xbox, I sometimes will play it on Xbox just because I have that headset. And he let me know that it's a wireless headset. It's got a base that connects to the console with an optical cable and a USB for power. And then you can charge the headset in this base, pull it out, wireless. It connects to the base when you're gaming. He told me if I buy the PlayStation 4 base, which is a different base than the Xbox One, that I can use the same headset with that base. So rather than buying another $300 Astro A50 PlayStation 4 model, which they do sell for $300, I can go to the Astro website, $100,
buy this PS4 base and use it with my existing Xbox headset. So basically the headset works with either base now. And I now have my Astro A50 headset working on both the PlayStation and the Xbox with his advice. So
Nice.
That's so awesome.
Pretty
Man.
sweet.
Yeah. It's great. And I just got the thing yesterday. The PlayStation, it just arrived in the mail, the PlayStation base, plugged it in, and sure enough, it's seamless.
Nice.
Seamless. So now I can use my $300 headset on whichever console I want for only $100 more, rather than spending $600 on headsets.
Yeah, right.
Which who's going to do that? Not me. I wouldn't.
No, not me.
But that's pretty awesome, and it should be forwards compatible with these new consoles. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Otherwise, I would be really irritated.
Now it looks like accessibility is going to be a huge thing going forward in both, manufacturers.
Yeah. So huge thank you to Travis. I appreciate the email, pal. I mean, that's great advice. It works like a charm, just like you said. He put the research in, helped me out. Really appreciate it. Wanted to also mention Tim Paulin, who we've mentioned plenty of times on our show. Friend of the show, has joined us at Midwest Gaming Classic a few times. Done all sorts of stuff in our community. Those dirt rally challenges. Dirt 2? 4?
Oh, yeah.
4? Dirt 4? Which is it? I think it's 4. 3?
Dirt Rally.
Dirt Rally? Oh, man. Anyway, he's been putting the PlayStation Plus game from a couple months ago. Been doing some community races there. And now he's partnering with us to do some streaming. So he's taken his Twitch channel and uploading those to our YouTube. Right now he's got an LA Noir series going on, which I've been really enjoying watching that. Actually went and bought the disc. May want to play that, even though I'm not supposed to be buying anything. Yeah, but
Whoops.
Rockstar Games, I'm still like all rosy about Red Dead 2, and here he is playing that. It looks really cool. So head on over to our YouTube. We've got our podcasts out there, some older episodes that we live streamed. You can see our faces. Wouldn't recommend that. But check out Tim's videos. Very, very awesome. He's doing that. He's got some Dirt Rally up on there as well. So shout out to Tim. Thanks for the partnership, pal. Appreciate it. Be sure and check that out, and go look at his Twitch too, where you can catch this stuff live. It got us talking too. Maybe we'll see. We're an audio show primarily, but maybe we'll stream again the live version of the show to Twitch. But that might be kind of cool. Don't hold us to that though.
I'll see if there's a demand for it. Who knows?
Yeah, let us know. So on to cheers. And then a little bit of a chat about what we kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show. So I've got this episode. You're not going to believe this, you guys. I found this new brewery in Milwaukee. It's in the Bayview area. It's called 1840. You guys heard of this? Oh my God. They slow age their beers in barrels. I'm joking, of course. I got 1840 every time. Who am I kidding? This is a C Note. It's a double IPA. It's their first West Coast IPA. And man, I love a good West Coast IPA. And of course, they nailed it. So good. So 1840 C Note. It's got that West Coast color, as you can see. It's got the flavor. Man, so good. Calypso, Cashmere, Citra, Columbus, and Comet hops. Dry hopped. Very good. It's piney. It's a West Coast. I can't be in Vancouver, every weekend. Like, I can't get those beers, man. When I go to San Francisco, I'm in wine country seeking out West Coast IPAs. So I love a good West Coast IPA. So I'm glad they put this out. I bought 12. I've got like 2 left. It sucks. But man, very good. What are you drinking, Carl?
Carl.
Talking about having not many left, I've literally got my last one of these, which I'm going to crack now. New England IPA for me. This is a typical Brewdog collaboration, and it's a partnership with Cloudwater Brewing, and we don't get these hazies very often over here, and this is probably my favourite beer at the minute. I grabbed a case of 12 or 24, can't remember how many it was because they didn't last very long. A few weeks back, they kind of said, we've got another run of these if you want to have a little look at them. And this is just full of just all the juicy hazy taste you normally get with a bit of peach and a bit of melon in there, like caramelized pineapple and stuff. It is the spot. 6.8%. It just looks like, well, it looks like one of the drinks that Shane and Joel would give me if I went over to stay with them. So it's a fine BA if you can get it. It's definitely worth checking out. So Brewdog versus Cloudwater, 6.8%. Real nice, goes down so smooth.
Yeah, it's kind of sessionable, right? Well, not really, but for us, that's
for us for about 2 hours.
Yeah, this one's an 8.
Have a sleep.
This one's an 8.5%. So it's one on the patio after work, and I'm good. You know.
All right, and on to the caboose here. Got my recent favorite from my friends at Boombox Brewing, Ryan and Kent. Lovely gentlemen. Kent, one of the best brewmasters around right now. He's knocking it out of the park. And I got the Subsonic. It's only 4%.
Oh, wow.
But 100% flavor, boys. You know what's in this beer? Do you want to know what's in this beer?
Yeah, tell us.
What's in this beer. Ingredients: water, malt, hops, and yeast. Send it.
They're not even telling you what hops it is, man. That's old school.
It don't matter. When you get this
hops,
this nectar on the lips,
nice.
You forget all about those hops.
It's got the color of Carl's Nipa too. It's a little hazier, a little lighter color there.
It is.
Not as much head.
Yet.
but
it is full flavored, deadly. Love it. You take a sip of this, like, no way, that's 4%. Give me a what?
Yeah, it doesn't look like a 4%.
No. Yeah, it's summer too, right? Sometimes you just need a good beer.
Yeah.
Just need a good beer on a hot day, nice and cold.
You can have like 46 of them, and the old lady wouldn't even know.
Don't you have a recycle bin? I mean, come on. When I have 46 beers, it's a dead giveaway. The recycle bin's full.
Right? Dead giveaways, right?
It's that noise as you're emptying them out, though, isn't it? Like, you try and do it when no one's around. Just
right.
Like the steady roll and crash of empty tins and bottles, and you just think, oh, God. When the neighbours pop out,
Yeah,
to my ears.
Yeah, it's coming out. You got any left? No.
You throw in your one beer you had this evening in the bin, and it sounds like 4. Ching, 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 ching.
Yeah.
Nah, it just bounced around. That was only one. Not that I would know from experience or anything. So we talked at the beginning. Of the show. Let's have a little bit of a chat about this. I think it's important as a society, as 3 white dudes on ABOG since 2012. I think it's important that we do our part as best we can. I, for one, feel slightly helpless to the situation. I have no idea what Black and brown people go through. I could never put myself in their shoes, but I think it's time that we all be treated equal. We're all one being. We're all human beings. We're born with no racism. Racism is taught. And that's the disgusting thing to me. When I first understood this as a kid, and in the United States, and I don't know if it's like this for you guys in Canada and England, I'll be curious to hear. We did have, obviously we had slavery. I think that was a worldwide thing. Then we had in the, before the 60s, when Martin Luther King started to change things for everybody with his very powerful motivation and movement, there was segregation. Then we had some better ways. We had what we thought was equality, but it never really was equality. And I've seen a few things, and I'll share a few stories here. But I thought, maybe naively, that we as a people would get past this. That as we advanced as a culture, as the people, as our grandparents and great-grandparents passed away, so would the ignorance and the way that the way they were taught about segregation and about how these people were perceived as lesser than us, which I understood at a young age. That's a disgusting, inappropriate thought. But I saw racism, sadly I saw it. And I just thought that as we advanced and got further along in my lifetime, it would go away. And we're getting slapped in the face with this now. It's not going away. And I wish it would. I don't know what to do, except I think I need to learn more about what they go through, how they feel. I grew up in New Berlin, suburb of Milwaukee. I'd say it was middle class, but we had a few kids at age 16 get a brand new vehicle on their birthday, so maybe slightly more than middle class. I was middle class. I now live in Brookfield. Again, maybe slightly more than middle class. Not me, but I see there's some people around here with some money. Milwaukee's a very segregated city. I do not see a lot of culture out where I live, unfortunately. A little bit, but when I had a job early on, I was a manager of a team, and it was important to me to have culture on my team, and I did. And there were quite a few times where my African-American Black employees were late for work, and I'll never forget this. As you do when you're a boss with a staff, you ask, like, why are you late? You've been late a couple times in the last month. And I learned, well, it's because I got pulled over on the way in. Like, oh, you speeding or something? Innocently, I didn't know. No, it's because I'm Black. And they just pull me over. And my team at the time, who were in that position, would allot extra time on their commute to the office, knowing that they very well could get pulled over just because they're driving through this community with the not as much culture. And that was a huge eye-opener for me. And as soon as I heard that story, and it just broke my heart. I'm like, my employee was so used to this. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, he just fluffed it off. It's normal. I'm thinking, that's disgusting. That's not normal. That's horrible. He's like, it's a fact of life. And it was just such an eye-opener for me that this is how it was a gentleman, how he has to live his life, just knowing that these things are going to happen. Things that I would never have to concern myself with or even think about. And then living in Brookfield now, I've noticed this for 10 years. If I'm driving around our city, there's a major street with like a mall and all sorts of shops and stuff, Blue Mound Road. I shit you not, when I see somebody pulled over on Blue Mound Road, 9 times out of 10, this is not an exaggeration, it's a Black person. I swear they get singled out here in this community. And those are just personal examples of things I see and blatant racism. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And what happened to George Floyd is horrible, and it's happened to many others before him. The mistreatment, and now this police brutality, which is a whole other thing. And yes, there's many great police officers out there. But here you've got a police officer being filmed, knows he's being filmed, with 2 other police officers next to him. A gentleman saying he can't breathe, and 0 respect for life. It is so horrible. I get why there's many people upset right now. I get why there's protests. I don't like the fact that there's rioting and looting that's going on, but I think that's just overshadowing the importance of these protests right now. So it's been a very couple tough weeks here in the U.S., and I know we're starting to see it across the world too. In I believe your countries as well, Shane and Carl, but I want to learn more. I want to do whatever I can to help. If I didn't have heart disease and 8 stents in my heart and this pandemic going on and me being very concerned with making sure I'm healthy, I would be down there with everybody else protesting. But I just, unfortunately, have to protect myself because if you watch the news, it's like, oh, if you have heart disease, you're going to die. Probably not, but I need to be careful. But I feel helpless, and our top-down leadership right now is politicizing this, is not coming up with any solutions. It's really awful. I don't know how we're going to get out of this, but damn it, we need to get past this. Finally, we've got to overcome this. There's my 2 cents.
It's a really difficult thing to talk about. Like you say, three of us white guys in our 40s. It's something that we've seen throughout our lives. We've got it here in the UK. We've got a kind of a response to it, if you like. We've got marches and protests and all the rest of it. The fact that we've got people protesting over here, I'm in two minds over it, if I'm being brutally honest, because there is a pandemic. There is a wider responsibility for the the safety and health of everybody. Old people who are just haven't been able to go to their houses in 12 weeks and all the rest of it. So I totally get why these protests are happening in America, and it's right that there's something felt all over the world. The UK is quite a multicultural and, in my opinion, pretty well integrated society. Our police don't have guns. Our criminals don't have guns. Yes, there is still racism in the British police force, absolutely, and that needs to be dealt with. But it needs to be dealt with through reform, through management, through there's nothing wrong with if you're going to go and be a copper, and the requirements of those jobs, if you're in the position of life and death over somebody, the requirements of those jobs have got to change, and the qualifications you've got to have for those jobs have got to change. So whether it's understanding qualifications on psychology or history, to get you to a point, constant psychological assessments every 6 months, whatever it takes to make sure that these people are in the best position to protect everybody. Because, a lot of people say, not all cops are the same. There's a lot of good cops out there, which is true. I know many myself personally who are fine, but you also know the odd one bad apple, and it's one of those jobs where you can't have a bad apple. You can't afford to have somebody in that kind of position who's going to have a prejudice. So it's. I think the best kind of example I can give is, I had this story from a friend of a friend kind of thing. We were talking about how can you understand what it's like. It's like I'm probably the most privileged and safe group of individuals in the world. I'm a straight white man in blonde hair, blue eyes. Maybe not so blonde nowadays, but it took me a long time to understand how women are treated. I know that's kind of taken for granted. It takes you a long time to understand how people of colour are treated and how that's different. And little things like little stories. And I was talking to my mum on the phone the other night about this, because she was talking to me about it. And kind of saying, what do you make of it all? And obviously I'm thinking about moving to America at some point in my future. And she was like, it's all, what do you think will happen? And I said, well, what will happen will be what needs to happen. If they keep protesting and everybody keeps supporting the cause, there's lots of things you can do without physically going and protesting. Like, I wouldn't do that, Joel. I wouldn't go out and join a protest personally in this time. I've spent 12 weeks not seeing my son. I've spent months not seeing my parents. Everyone's making a sacrifice not to get infected and not to pass this thing on at the minute. So that's my personal choice. And some people vindicate you for that. Some people are like, well, if you're not out there supporting, it's silence, it's abuse in itself. That I disagree with. There are plenty of things you can do. If you go to blacklivesmatter.com, there's plenty of reading that you can do on there. There's petitions that you can look into. There's ways that you can donate. There's merch you can buy. You can help with your cash, because people, people from communities, from black communities who get wrongfully arrested, they can't afford bail, they can't, get out of the situations that they're put into. All that goes to help. And like you say, we have got an audience, and we have got a position where we can, try and flag these things up. And I think if you're a gamer, there's something that you can get involved in as well. If you've got $5 and you want to try and help and raise awareness and do something to help this situation, there is it's not really a storefront. It's like a little, it's a platform, I guess. Itch.io. If you go over to itch.io, you can see that they've got a bit of a campaign on there to raise cash towards, it's a 50-50 split. It helps towards basically the NAACP legal defence and the educational fund, the community bail fund. So all the money raised by them will go towards helping people who are put in the position of, wrongful arrest and persecuted by race. $5 donated gets you 740 little indie works and little games and things. So, you're doing something good, and it might not feel huge, but it's something that's very worthwhile. So educate yourself, I think, is the most important thing. Understand why there is such anger and resentment still, and try and put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. I heard a story about a chap. His girlfriend, he wanted to go out and take something around a mate's house, and it was like, I need a big bag to take something round. And she's like, I've only got this one, and it was like a Selfridges bag or something, like a big brightly coloured woman's gift bag, that you might get from a store. And he was like, I can't take that, and I'm not taking that. And she's like, well, don't be so sensitive about it. And he said, no, I can't take that, because if the police stop me and think that I've stole that from somebody, like, I've got to think about being in that position. I wouldn't think twice about leaving my house with what bag I was carrying something in. But the people like this they have to think about that in their daily life. And what you're saying, Joel, it's like, it's part of life. I'll factor time into getting to work because I might get pulled over. Well, that shouldn't happen. And it needs everybody to pull together in whatever way that they can, and do their little bit, and try and make sure that that we can eradicate this, and future generations don't grow up with that kind of poisoned attitude. And like you, mate, I thought it was a generational thing, and that it would die out, as we grow older, as we raise our kids. But it doesn't seem to be the case. It just still seems to be, this just gross racism in the world. And unfortunately, police, and particularly police in America, are in that position where they've got somebody's life in their hands, and they don't have a conscience with regards to it. So that's got to stop.
Yeah, we can't just wait it out. I was naively thinking we could just wait it out, that it would just die off. And I mean, we can't. 60 years, Paul McCartney said something on, I don't know, email or social media or wherever Paul McCartney talks, Mr. Big Shot himself there. But he was like, 60 years ago we were dealing with this, and we're still dealing with this. That was very hell of a perspective when I heard that. I'm like, he's right. He said the Beatles played I forget which venue they played in the U.S., some state city that insisted it be segregated. And he was like, we're not playing unless it's not segregated. And they forced the issue, and because they were the Beatles, were able to do that. And here we are now. I mean, we're not segregated anymore. I mean, not legally. But man,
But again, he's using his platform, isn't he? Even back then.
I think we all feel just some obligation to do something. We can't just sit and wait it out anymore. I guess this is my position. And to see it being politicized is horrible. But also I see people, and I think these people are naive or maybe even slightly racist themselves. But to say all lives matter. My life already matters. Don't worry about me. I'm good. That is so downplaying the situation. That really frustrates me when I see that.
And you do see that a lot. All lives matter. But it's a given, and all the lives that are in danger at the moment, a lot of the ones that need the support and need reform, are people of colour. So that's what needs the attention. That's what needs the focus and all the rest of it. It's a difficult balancing act. Is the only, and this isn't a controversial thing, but the police have to be equipped to do the job, and in an ideal world where none of them are racist, they're all motivated by purely what is on the job. They have to be equipped to do the job. So you see some people on social media like, let's defund the police, let's de-arm the police.
But that's not.
I have a hard time with stuff like that. In Britain we still have racism. Our police aren't armed under exceptional circumstances. There might be, but generally they've got a taser and stuff like that. But we have issues with knife crime. We have issues with gang crime. Some white, some black. And depending on what they're doing and where they are, they'll be looking for and profiling those people. Whether they're white chavs or whether they're I don't know, a Jamaican gang in London or whatever. Like they're gonna have to go through that process of doing their job. But it needs to be done fairly. There can't be a bias. You can't, when someone's begging for their life, to be like, that guy is just a gross monster. And it's a difficult balance, but it's one that's got to be reached fairly for everybody. And hopefully we can get to that point.
And it's like a microcosm. I think we have two issues. We have the police issue, but we have racism as a culture. So we need to really solve both of those issues with these protests and with what's going on right now. And I apologize. My dog is apparently going crazy over the doorbell. So hopefully that's not coming through on the audio here.
I didn't hear that bit.
I hope not. Shane, anything you want to add to this? And I know it's difficult to even talk about this stuff, really, but I just thought we needed to say a few words.
Just be kind. Be kind to one another. Be compassionate of your neighbor, the person next to you in line. It's the only way. I grew up here in Canada, which is very, very multicultural. There's my neighbors. I mean, I've got neighbors from all over the world, every continent, in the same neighborhood. Everybody, just blessed to be in such a multicultural area of the world, and racism is out there. Being in a interracial relationship, fed to lick my wounds, because of that, and is what it is. It's not nearly to the scale of that some people have to deal with. Like Joel said, on a daily life. So I never, just brush it off. But yeah, it's tough. But any advice is just be kind, be compassionate. You don't defeat hate with hate. You have to overcome that. You have to be better. Hate doesn't defeat anything. So if, you're out there hating, open the ears. We're given 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen twice as much as we speak.
Well said, man.
Amen. Respect.
Shane always brings it when it comes to the compassion and kindness.
Always, man. That's just
so awesome.
Luckily, how I was raised, and it's not very common, but it's always been my message, I guess. Always just be compassionate to one another.
Treat others like you want to be treated. It's a very simple concept, but there's just, again, it's you're taught to hate. Unfortunately, some people don't even know that they're hating. There's just it's their upbringing. It's what they've learned throughout life. But no longer can we sit here and assume it's going to go away. We all have to take an active role in being part of the change. If somebody said once before, be the change you want to see in the world. Now, I hugely believe in that. Actions speak louder than words. Well, we saved it until the end of the show. Because, man, it's a heavy conversation, but I hope somebody took something out of this. I know I did. So,
Yeah.
Even if us three go out there and do our best, I feel like it's a win, quite frankly.
Every day.
Yeah. And it's meant, it's difficult for a reason. It's a difficult thing to talk about, because the more you talk about it, the more you realize, and the more you understand, or try and understand the position that a lot of people are in that we don't face. So even just talking to you two, like, it helps to process it, and it helps to understand, and head on over, have a look at the Black Lives Matter website. There's plenty of material on there. There's merch on there. There's some, you need a face mask, drop some money, get a face mask. You're going to need that thing for quite some time.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So, and it just, even a small gesture, it's still doing your bit. So just do what you can.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I wish in 2 weeks this were gone. Probably won't be. But we'll be back with you. Entertaining, distracting, doing our thing. ABOG. See ya.
Yeah.